circumstances, but the elements, right? We sing praises. Why? The Bible commands us to sing. Sing a new song to the Lord. Make a joyful noise. That's what some of us are able to do. And it needs to be sincere too, right? Worship is by faith. We're trusting in Christ. Remember, Abel brings his offering by faith. It's not enough to just do the right things. You have to be trusting in Christ, but then you have to do it really and sincerely. If I'm trusting in Christ and I go to a worship service and the only thing I'm thinking about is watching the Steeler game afterwards, or what I'm going to eat next, or how so-and-so isn't paying attention the way he should be, if that's all I'm doing, I'm not worshiping God, right? I need to be focused on trying to do what's pleasing to him. So when the song is saying something about, I should be trying to mean that, right? And I should be trying to pray along with the pastor when he's praying, even though he goes way too long, and what's he talking about now? But trying to focus on it. And really, what I'll do a lot of times, if I feel myself drifting, I'll just whisper, silent whisper, but I'll just say in my head the words immediately after the person praying is saying them, just to get me back on track. Because I know we all stray and we all, wander in our minds. But just trying to do that. Focus on him. Don't think about work. Don't think about your job. Don't think about play. Don't think about whatever. I just want to focus on God. Intentionally doing that. That's worship, beloved. That's what we do when we worship God. Worship is not a feeling. It's not a feeling. And I am concerned that in much of the evangelical church, that is the understanding of worship that is given. They won't define it that way, but if you want to ask, well, what's worship? Or, what's the, worship part of the service? When do you worship? Well, you worship in the beginning when you have that 30 minutes of singing, right? That's the worship. Oh, we're worshiping now. We're singing. We have the music playing, that's worship. We're in worship. And it's not even just the singing, it's the feeling that you get when you sing. I'm in these circles. I know exactly what they mean. Well, we're in worship right now. Don't you feel it? We're worshiping. There's nothing wrong with lifting your hands, by the way. But this is what, it's this emotional, active thing that comes upon you. And now you've entered into worship. Because you have this emotion that you're feeling, and the music really helps. It's got to, you want that music playing. It's a certain kind of music, too. It can't be like, very, a mighty fortress is our God. It's hard to get that feeling from that. It's kind of more reverent music. It's got to be this kind of, this music that moves you. I've seen it, I've gone to a lot of rock concerts, and I've seen it. Man, and people, and the lighters, used to be the lighters, now it's the phones, And I've had that feeling. I had that feeling at Def Leppard and Van Halen and Bon Jovi and Motley Crue. I saw them all. I was there. And I've had that feeling in worship services. I've had that feeling where, wow, you don't want to stop. You want to keep, you get this feeling. Guys, that's not worship. That can accompany worship, and I would even say that you should have emotional response to the promises of God. That should be part of it. You should feel something when you hear Jesus died for you, but don't mistake that feeling as worship. Worship is your intentional, conforming your heart, your mind, and your will to lift up God. You've got to do that with your reason first. That's got to be a decision. You've got to be doing that out of faith in God. You're worshiping God now, just as much as when you're singing. Do you believe that? A lot of people don't. This isn't the worship part. The worship part was when we were singing. This whole service is worship. It's no less now, if you're really trying to exalt God and listen and obey his word and conform yourself to his word, than when you're singing, or then when you're praying, or then when you're putting money in the offering plate. That too is an element of worship. We're commanded to do that. And when you do that, that's worship. When you do it from the heart, I want to give to God. That's what worship is. Worship is a deliberate exalting of God, humbling of ourselves by faith in Christ, doing what he said, and meaning it, wanting to see him exalted. From the call